Hades is Polygon's 2020 Game of the Year, and with good reason. It's a roguelike that even people who hate roguelikes adore. So what's its secret? I actually don't know yet because I haven't quite finished the script. Look, I've been busy. Maybe what I really need is just one more run at Hades. Then I'll definitely finish this video.
Back again, Clayton.
What the fuck?
Not surprising, since Hades' divine gameplay makes it easy to avoid your obligations for hours and hours. And hours. And hours. What's the harm in just one more room?
You know what? That's actually a really good point. Whether you're a skilled roguelike player or a total newbie, it's just a ridiculously fun game to play. And not just a regular fun, but how's it already 4 in the morning kind of fun. The isometric combat is simple and satisfying. You smash buttons and kill demons with your sword, which would probably get boring pretty quickly if it weren't for all the ways you can change your combat style. Each of the weapons gives the fighting a little flavor from another genre, like boxing gloves that transform it into a beat-em-up, or an ancient Grecian gun/grenade launcher that turns the game into a twin-stick shooter. It gets even more customizable when you're gifted boons from the Greek pantheon, which also radically change your combat abilities. For example, Ares' boon transforms your basic magic missile into a slow-moving bloodsaw, while Demeter turns it into a crystal laser turret. These boons aren't just +5 to attack, they completely change how you play. Like one of the best boons, Athena's reflective dash, which turns a witch fight from bullet hell into bullet pinball. And these upgrades alter each weapon differently. So that's what? 6 weapons, each with 5 different boon slots. Each can be filled by one of 9 gods' boons? Is there a Greek god of math that can help me out here? Not you, Pythagoras. This might sound like a distressing number of decisions to make, and it probably would be, if it weren't for the game's roguelike structure. This allows all your weapon decisions to be spread out, so you're never making multiple decisions all at once. You lock in your weapon before you even begin your run, and the gods only ever give you 3 boons to choose from. Instead of the typical roguelike feeling of being underpowered, Hades' boons make you feel like a god. Hell yeah, I got the first section done. Maybe I should take a nap right after I finish this level.
Oh, not so fast there, Clayton, because you are looking at the next segment right now. It's me, the artwork. Except imagine that I'm like 400% hotter and absolutely shredded.
Okay, I may be sleepy, but I know that if I talk about the character art in this game, I'm gonna be sent straight to horny Tartarus. So let's talk about the UI instead. You spend a lot of time in this game looking at upgrade menus and text boxes, so it's a damn good thing they look so immaculate. You can really appreciate this when you slow them down and see them sumptuously sprawling across the screen. Supergiant's dedication to artistic detail makes even the boring parts of the game enjoyable. They also make it easier to keep track of what's going on. The different boon powers, for example, are easy to recognize in all their wildly different forms because of the vivid color choices that link them to the respective Olympic patrons, which, by the way, are drawn with such intricate detail that they feel animated, even if they're only static images. This isn't surprising considering the developer's pedigree. Supergiant is to gorgeous 2D character art as Blizzard is to women with this face. They also deliberately made the character art inclusive with a multicultural pantheon, which just so happens to reflect the diversity of ancient Greece. The creative director reasoned that these gods represent universal concepts like wisdom and war and getting schwasty. So why would they all look like bleached marble statues? And that's all I have to say about the character art. Yep, there isn't anything else to say. Nope, no siree. Not a thing. Not a thing to... Okay, fine. There is a legitimate reason to talk about the thirst factor. The studio literally admitted that art director Jin Z made everyone friggin' hot in order to honor the source material. But it actually does more than that. Roguelikes as a genre are known for being hardcore, and that often comes through in their art direction, which can be a little edgy. The look of Hades, on the other hand, is literally easy on the eyes. So easy that fans keep making more to look at. So much more. Hades' art is just another way the game tries to be as alluring to as many people as possible. But you know what? It's not the first roguelike that's tried to be both fun to play and look at. There must be something else that really sets it apart.
Video's looking good, buddy. Keep on fighting the good fight. By the way, did I ever tell you about the time I had it out with Gary Oldman in a Hardee's parking lot? He was carrying this 10-inch cavalry knife and... you're busy. I'll tell you next time.
Wait, no, Pat, you can't just leave a story unresolved like that. I need to know what happens next. I see what you did there. Every time you die, you start back in the House of Hades, which gives you the chance to speak to some of the chthonic gods living there. And every conversation makes you care a little bit more about the underworld and its inhabitants. You can even honor the source material and get stuck in multiple thirst traps. To make that happen, you need to collect a lot of ambrosia on your runs, which gives you yet another reason to make just one more attempt, because then maybe you'll finally have the resources you need to pierce Thanatos' emotional barrier. Just let me in, dude! Of course, if polyamory isn't your thing, you can still get invested in the story of your own character, Zagreus, and the fraught relationship between you and your father, Hades. This captivating narrative twists and turns in unexpected ways, telling a very affecting story about how generational trauma can affect familial relationships. The really impressive thing about this story, and every other story in Hades, is how elegantly it fits within the roguelike structure. The same people aren't always in the Hall of Hades, so when you miss them for a run or two, you really are glad to see them again. Characters also respond to the specifics of your progress, congratulating you when you've defeated a boss for the first time, or teasing you about your ignominious end. The destination may stay the same, but the journey will always be a little bit different for every player. It's a fresh take on storytelling that feels dynamic and unique. And just to make sure everyone has a chance to experience it, there's a God mode that can be turned on or off at any point. It doesn't make Zagreus all-powerful, it just buffs his defense, but increases the buff every time you die, so less skilled players can still push through and experience the whole story.
Can I get that last line again?
Wait, who said that? Oh right, I'm hallucinating.
You know, you could really add a lot more punch to what you say if you add a cool echo effect. You know, like Jeff Bridges in Tron, that movie where people got stuck inside of a video game. Anyways, this isn't a cry for help. Let me adjust your levels and you're good to go.
Thanks, Jeff Bridges. I mean, Josh, I think I hear what you're saying. The top tier voice acting in this game is a huge part of what turns the literally ancient story of Olympian gods into something fresh and new.
Why, if that isn't just the sweetest thing?
Take Logan Cunningham's portrayal of Hades. It's immediately iconic, the kind of voice you can hear in your head just from reading the dialogue.
You think you can butter me up with such trifles?
And Darren Korbes did the impossible by making Zagreus, the bad boy prince of hell, actually likable, which is no small feat because you know he could have sounded insufferable.
You leave me with little choice but to make you shut up already.
In addition to voice acting, Korbes actually composed the soundtrack, not just for Hades, but for all of Supergiant's games. But this score is particularly unique, vacillating between contemplative nostalgic, and exciting. All in one run. The boss battles each have a raucous score, but none more so than the final fight. In a battle that unites Zagreus' narrative journey with your own sense of almost accomplishment, the music needs to be worthy of the drama. Korbes' metal-inspired dirge is tonal perfection. It begs you to let loose the rage you have at your spiteful father, but also at the game that has handed you losses over and over and over again, even though you know deep down that being reckless is the surest way to lose. The story is impeccably written and the artwork enchanting, but it's the voice acting and music that really elevate it into something sublime. And just when you start to experience Hades' incomparable highs, you die. Again.
What? You're gonna get upset about dying now? Some gamer you turned out to be. You know, most people would be excited for another chance to pet Cerberus. Have you even tried looking at the bright side of death?
Well, Jenna, who's probably a manifestation of my own sleep-deprived mind, you make a good point. Death is probably the biggest impediment for people who don't really enjoy roguelikes. Losing all your progress is supposed to embolden you. But honestly, it just kinda sucks, which is what makes Hades' approach to dying so radical, because it actually makes death something you look forward to. In most roguelikes, you don't get new story unless you get farther in the dungeons than you did the last time. But in Hades, you get tasty morsels of story regardless of how successful you were. You're rewarded for trying, not just succeeding. Each resurrection is also another opportunity to talk or flirt with your fellow chthonic gods. It's where you experience flashbacks and where you keep pressing your obstinate father about his past. But none of that can happen until you die, so rather than losing progress, death moves you forward. Plus, whenever you bust out of the blood tub, you're likely to be laden with gems and tokens begging to be spent on upgrades. Hades certainly isn't the first roguelike with character progression, but the sheer number of things to collect and upgrade makes every trip back to the House of Hades meaningful. There's even fishing, for God's sake. Supergiant managed to turn the roguelike genre's greatest pain point, death, into something you actually enjoy. And even if you have an embarrassingly short run, it's okay, because Cerberus still loves you and would definitely like another good pet. And isn't that its own reward? Yes, I defeated Hades, finish the script. Now we're ready to start the video. Let's take it from the top. Right after I finish this level.